Today's podcast is brought to you by Barron's Profile of American Colleges, available now both in print and digital delivery. Find the college of your dreams in minutes with barronspop.com. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Pro-Life Education Podcast. This episode we look at opening up those acceptance letters and trying to make sense of all the information they're about to throw at you. We're going to look at some of the options to consider when making your final decision and how to get started with your planning. So let's us get started. First off, the waiting game can be a bear. You apply in September, you apply in October, November at the latest if you're on your game, and some schools won't make their decisions before January or February. And it almost seems unfair. You have to wait and you have to rush to complete your applications in time for the biggest decision of your life, and then colleges can wait an exorbitant amount of time to reply, giving you even less time to really prepare for the really big life-changing move. So, that's just a part of the process. If you're one of those people out there waiting to hear, don't get too upset, just relax. Sometimes February, I've even seen people in March get their acceptance letters. So be patient, it's on its way. That being said, the letters will come. Hopefully many of them are fat envelopes. They'll give you a ton of information to consider. You have to think about placement testing. You have to think about course registration schedules, food plan pricing, housing information. There's a list of pertinent contacts to prepare for the fall. This can be really intimidating, and you should take your time going through all this material. When you consider each school, think about the total cost and job placement rates of what you can expect when your program is finished. What are you really committing yourself to? Do they require a set number of courses to take each semester, or do you have the flexibility to customize your own track? That's a big thing. What times are courses offered each day? Some people don't even realize how big a deal that is. Some schools offer classes every day of the week, Monday through Friday, for about 40 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Some people like that. Others are a Monday, Wednesday, Friday rotation, where you get about an hour of class time. And then still others, they have Tuesday, Thursday classes. They're a little bit longer, about an hour and a half for each class, but it gives you some freedom on the other 3 days a week. Some are online. Others are hybrid, which is like a partial online, partial in class. And then, of course, finally, you have the ones that meet once per week for 3 hours a day. Those are usually found in the evenings. But if one of your schools offers all these options, I'd suggest moving that one up the priority list. It gives you great flexibility, and one of the issues students can face is a required course not being offered when you need to take it and being stuck waiting for your courses you want to get out of the way. Colleges that offer this flexible scheduling can make it easier to find a course that fits both your schedule and what you actually want to take. Consider the housing. If dorms are shared with one other person, it may sound like that's a beautiful thing, but sometimes that makes them less private, and it might make studying more challenging. You have to kind of pattern what you do off of whoever you're in a room with. Sometimes it's a great pairing, sometimes not so much. Sometimes it'd be hard to get out of those dorm pairings. If you're in a dorm with 3 other people, they usually share a common living space and have more private sleeping space. That may be preferable. What meal plans do they have? They're huge. A lot of students schedule the courses for example, say a Monday, Wednesday, Friday course load. So they take 4 classes Monday morning starting at 8 o'clock and go 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12. There's little breaks in between. Say by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they're done their classes. And they take 4, maybe they take 5th class. But then on Tuesday and Thursday, they get all their homework together. They form a study group, and they head down to the cafeteria, and they have a meal plan that you pay when you go in. You pay per admission. If you're trying to save a few bucks, this is a popular way college students used to do it. They look to see what other amenities are located on campus. Is everything there you're going to need to have, so you don't have to leave campus to get things you need? They can go to the cafeteria, do all their work, relax, get a couple meals in, save some money on their meal account, and just plow through their work. And then they get a whole lot more free time. A lot of the large colleges have everything from campus stores to restaurants, to shopping malls, all on campus. Some have movie theaters, discounted admission, or even a gym to go work out in if you want to for free. It's like part of your student admission fees. As you get older, some have nightclubs and taverns on campus, or student unions where there's tons of shops and games that can be played. What do they have in the way of campus security? I know that may not seem like a big deal, but do they have something there to make sure that if you've got a night where you're out with a study group and you're out way too late, is there a way to make sure you get home safely? Do they have student support groups in whatever event in the event that you need to ride home? Maybe you can pair up with a student support group. Maybe you could join one of those and provide rides home. It gives you an opportunity to get some volunteer service on your resume. Do they have a sorority or a fraternity that you might want to join? And how would joining those kinds of organizations affect your housing? Because think about it, some of the students who join certain fraternities or sororities will end up living in the sorority house or the fraternity house. That could affect your housing, so it's definitely something to think about. Do you have the financial backing to make your top choice happen? If not, I suggest going back to episode 3, find additional sources of revenue or choose a different school. You want to make sure that once you commit yourself to this school, it's exactly what you want. And finally, when do their semesters run? It seems so obvious. Do they only offer spring and fall? Are there summer sessions and winter sessions? Are there more than one summer session? I've seen some schools that have summer sessions 1, 2, and 3. And there's some limitations to summer sessions, but they also can help you get a program done a lot faster. You could take 2 college classes per summer session in most schools, which means if they have 1 summer session, you knock out 2 every year. You can finish a full year in the summer. If it's one thing where they have 2 summer sessions and you do 2 per, or 3 summer sessions, do 2 per, you could really accelerate your progress towards getting done early if that's something you want to do. At the same time, if you're a student who wants to take 4 classes instead of 5, 6, 7, this is your out. You take your 4 classes in the spring and the fall, and then in the summer sessions, you can fill in what you would have taken with those 5 or 6 course caseloads throughout the year by taking a few online or less populated classes over the summer. And, once you go through all that process and narrow down your choice to one school, that's when we have to fill out the letter of intent. It's a letter that'll come in your packet, notifying the school of what your intentions are, send it back, and you get the ball rolling. Have your financial aid directed to that school. Each school has a code that you have to give to your FAFSA to direct funds that way. And think about scheduling your placement tests sooner than later so you have more fresh information in your memory. When you're finishing up high school, you're just coming out of your math classes, your language arts classes, all those kinds of things. Once you get out of school, they call it, intellectual decay. Sometimes you'll start to forget some of the stuff you learned in school. Try to get those things out of the way as soon as you can. Once that's done, either sit down with a counselor or, my preference is, give me a call. Plan your courses and get ready to begin your educational journey. Planning those courses is sometimes a science in and of itself, but we can get to that in another episode. That's all the time we have for this episode, but check back with us in episode 5 where we talk about the registration, placement testing, determining the course path we'd like to have throughout our educational journey, and other topics as well. Special thanks go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all of our music and sound effects we use throughout today's show. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by fastweb.com. Search the FastWeb database and help your students access scholarships and financial aid information with the FastWeb free and easy-to-use scholarship search engine. Investigate the college of your dreams with the FastWeb College Profile Search Engine. Let FastWeb be your guide to higher education. To the U.S. News & World Report Best Colleges 2017, available now at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. To FAFI to Metal Detectors Plus, whether you're the casual hunter, the energetic beachcomber, or the underwater enthusiast, FAFI detectors have solutions for all your metal detector needs. And to A&B Education of Lansdale, bringing intercultural education to talented students from around the world. We want to thank you for listening to today's podcast, and we encourage you to go to our website at www.frolifeplanning.com to learn more about what Mr. Fro can do for you in your path to higher education. Remember, Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro, and I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today, and we look forward to sending out more tips and tricks for finding your way to higher education soon. Until then, keep the focus on not just moving up, but moving higher in education.